Good afternoon, ladies. This is Ashley here to talk with you about the full figure proportion of the human body, and it's also known as human proportions. I'm going to talk with you about how to do this both realistically and gesturally. So I'm having this set up for the demo. So this is the lecture demo style, okay? So I'm doing it in live time. That's how I roll, so that's what we're gonna do. I hope that this works well for you, and let's get started. So what we are going to do is I am going to ask that for live class today, you have your sketchbook, your drawing pad, graphite drawing pencil. I have a 4B here. You can also have your charcoal pencil or compressed or vinyl charcoal, whichever charcoal you're comfortable with. You may also use an ink pen if you'd like. If you have a ruler, you can use that too. Sometimes that helps with certain things that I'm about to show you, but I'd like to teach you without the ruler so that you do not need it. So these are the materials that you need for class today. And I am going to make this in real time so that you can see how it is done. But first, before I do that, I would like to show you some resources that I would love for you to check out if you can. So I am a huge book nerd, both art books and not, and I think that having physical books is a very wonderful way of living, and there's something very satisfying about doing this. So I really recommend certain books. I also understand if you want to go to the library to see what you can find, or if you want to order books, or whatever works for you, or if you want to share books with each other. I'm just going to show you some resources that I think will help you. So this is one book that I really enjoy. It's called Figure It Out: Human Proportions. I think that this is a phenomenal book for learning how to draw the human body. It's like a crash course. So I want to remind you that everything that we cover this year is basically a crash course. So figure drawing in college and art school, this is at least a full year of courses. So I would love for you to dive all into this. Now, this book here, it goes over the details of how to draw out the face in a very realistic way, and it also shows you how to draw the entire body. So I wanted to share this with you because I think that it sums up a thought very well. It says, the body, the overall measurements. The use of basic proportions helps demystify the complex machine that is the human body. Drawing the body without understanding the relationships among its parts is like building a house brick by brick without an architectural plan. The primary proportions of the body are height and width. More detailed proportions define the major segments of the body, such as the arms and legs. There are also often overlooked proportions that measure the body's interior points, such as the height of the chest and the level of the navel, the belly button. It's important to establish the primary proportions from the beginning because they affect one another like dominoes. For example, a vertical halfway point that is too high would cause the torso to appear too short and the arms and legs too long. To avoid this, we begin with the larger overall proportions, locking the basic framework in place before attacking the details. Now, this is really important. It's important to establish the primary proportions from the beginning because they affect one another like dominoes. I want to emphasize that because I was taught to draw in a realistic fashion. I learned how to draw realistically because these are basically like the rules of art. And then once you learn the rules, you can break them. That's when you break out and you find your style, whether it is realism or abstraction or anything in between. And what that means is I'm going to show you the basics, the rules here, okay, because I think it's very important, and I'm going to show this with you with all things that we learned this year. And I'm going to show you what I mean. When you learn the general, overall, basic proportions of the figure, for example, you can break out into your style, whether it is realism, like Norman Rockwell, where he, in his paintings, he is very obsessed with the realistic body. So you can see that he perfectly measures his proportions in each figure so that it looks very realistic and believable. When you do that, you can then break up the body so that you see movement throughout the body. You learn the proportions of the body, therefore you can create different positions of the arms and the legs so that it is still believable in this realistic style. When they are doing different activities, you are able to make the figures in your painting or drawing appear to be very believable in this realistic way. I thought that he was a phenomenal artist to show you the realistic style of the figure because he really does an amazing job at shifting that realistic body into all kinds of different movements, and it is really, really captivating. But remember when I said that you can break the rules, right? So you might have a natural, realistic style, and that's awesome. I encourage it. I also encourage you to find a style of yours that might not be realism. You might find that you become more expressive and you might start to abstract the human body. So you see where this is Gustav Klimt. He creates his figures to be elongated, and he breaks the rules of proportion, and he elongates or shortens the parts of the body. This is Gustav Klimt. Phenomenal artist. I absolutely love him, and I love how he breaks the rules of the figure. So you see he shortens the face here, he elongates the arm, he elongates the torso, he makes the head oversized at the top. But this is because he understands what he is doing. And here's a lot of different figures brought together in one, which I just really thought was beautiful. And then you have an expressive, abstracted style. You might go even further, and you might find that you enjoy illustration. So you see in this Calvin and Hobbes, I hope that you know who Calvin and Hobbes is. If you don't, check them out. We have 4 of these books, all the entire decade of the Calvin and Hobbes, the thousands of Calvin and Hobbes comic strips. 4 of these books. I just love comic strips and illustrations. So, anyways, you see in this, Bill Watterson, the comic artist Bill Watterson, how he truly understands the proportions of the human body, and he uses them in his own style, where he creates these figures to be in a very believable space, but he has his illustrative style, his comic strip style. I mean, he does a beautiful job at making these characters look believable, but in his own way. I just wanted to show you that because I thought that it's just very powerful how he draws his figures throughout his scenes, how they are very, very well done in a totally different way than Norman Rockwell. Then you have full expression, full abstraction, like Jean-Michel Basquiat. He is actually my favorite painter. I can't express how much I love this artist, so I won't go on a rant. But he totally breaks the rules of the figure, and I just love it. He is what is called neo-expressionist, and he breaks every single rule of proportion. And he does it in many different ways. Every single one of his paintings has his own unique style, but he does totally different things to the figure, okay? So I just wanted to show you him as well, because he takes it to an extreme that I just find fascinating and almost very childlike, which I have said in the past that sometimes if someone tells you that you draw like a 5-year-old, I take it as a compliment, because 5-year-olds are the most honest artists. So, with that said, I want you to understand that I encourage you to take what I'm going to teach you today and find your style through this year. Those are some inspirational artists that I wanted to show you, and I encourage you to research artists who work with the figure, and it will help inspire you in what you are creating. So back to the proportions of the figure. Typically, remember, this is the baseline for creating the human figure. Typically, the body is broken up into 7.5 heads. So what a person's head measures, it breaks it down into 7 parts of his body or her body. And it is different for every single human, absolutely. But this is the baseline that you can use, and that's what I'm going to teach you how to do today. I'm going to invite you to create a realistic proportion of the human body, and then I want to invite you to make a more gestural. Gestural means movement. So we're going to learn how to draw this out. Okay, this will be the first project where you will draw out the human body. Then the second project will be where you create it to make more of a gestural movement where it is moving. And so with that, I want to show you some examples of what I mean. So you see how this person is bending over, and it shows some movement with these lines. So gestural means the body is making a gesture, it is moving. And so what you are going to do in live class, after you complete this, then we will move into the gestural. And you're going to observe each other. You will partner off, and you will create this drawing that is more gestural. So this is where you can loosen up, and this is where you will use your charcoal, I hope, to break up into different ways of drawing. So this is the expressive line that I'm talking about, where it is very different in each one, but it's really where the artist is observing and looking at the human in front of them and then drawing what they see very quickly. Some are much more loose than others, but this is the base of what gesture means. And I think that, yeah, so see, this lady is laying down, this guy is standing like that. This is Schiele. Yes, I love Egon Schiele's figures. He is standing very powerfully, and she is laying down with a stance. And then here, this lady is standing with her arms up, but you can feel her moving to the left. And here, this person is laying down with a feeling of exhaustion, and I can feel that from the dark lines that is here. And this person is angry. So you can see how this is going to be a very open way of finding your style of drawing humans. You're going to learn the rules, and then you're going to be able to break out into your own and really figure out what that means to you. And I'm just letting you know that what that means to you might be realism, it might be expression, it might be abstraction. You will find out as you do it. Now, I'm going to talk with you a little bit more about the rules of the body, and I'm going to talk with you about how it shifts between each human. And then I'm going to create mine so that you can see it in live time. But this entire section, this entire topic, gives you a solid foundation for drawing the body. First, however, we'll establish what is called the framework proportions, or what I say the rules, and then work our way down to specific sections of the body. The limbs and the muscle groups is a whole other thing that we won't be talking about today. The anatomy of the muscles, the organs, the veins. But I just want to talk with you about basically the outer skin and the outline of the body. So you can be creating in your sketchbook, or you can be creating in your drawing pad for this. The one that you will turn in as a final project, I want it to be in your drawing pad. So just remember that I want you to have your sketchbook as a place for you to practice, as a place for you to do sketches, as a place for you to write down your ideas. And then your drawing pad is what I want you to do your projects in, your drawing projects in. And I want you to also take note that for this, for sketching, you can use pencil, you can use pen. For your gestural one, I really encourage you to use charcoal because it really lets you loosen up. And I want you to know that I am totally open to you using paint for, you can add paint into these, you can add color into these, you can leave them black and white. I am open to what you are open to, and I'm totally fine if you leave it only pencil. I am fine if you make it charcoal and pencil. I'm fine if you make it pen and pencil. I think you get the gist. So what I want to point out about the ruler is that if you want to get very specific, you can measure each section of the body that you're drawing. You totally can do that. What you would do is you would measure the head and you would use that to get down to each section. I personally I'm not going to use a ruler for this demonstration, but you can if you want to. I'm going to show you another trick with your pencil so that I don't have to hold a ruler. This is what I do as a trick. So I'm going to draw this head-on person to start because I think that is the base, the straight-on person. So that's what you want to do, okay? Now, what I would like for you to do is I'm going to give you a second now, and I want you to, if you have your sketchbook, I want you to get it out right now. If you have your sketchbook or any piece of paper, I want you to do this with me. Any piece of paper or your sketchbook and a pencil or a pen. I would love for you to do this with me because then you can take this as notes to the live class. I hope that makes sense. I just think that it will be better for you to do it with me, and that way it'll be like second nature whenever it comes time to the live class for us to be doing this live in the studio together. So what you want to do is understand it does not have to look exactly like this, especially if it's your first time. I want you to understand that all I want is for you to do your best. And I want you to please be patient with yourself, and I want you to please just relax and know that there is no judgment here. And I am just happy that you're here, and I'm just happy that we're doing this together. So let any stress go, take a deep breath, and just know that this is supposed to be relaxing, therapeutic, and enjoyable, okay? So just be patient with yourself and have fun. You want to start with the head, okay? The shape of the head to start, and remember, this is the basics, okay? The shape of the head is typically an oval. I hope you can see that. Okay. So typically an oval. I'm going to show you the trick now. You want to start with the first section, which is the head. Now, this person has about as big of a head as I made, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this trick where I take the tip of the pencil and I put it at the top of the head. And then I measure, I put my pointer finger down at the bottom of the chin, and I measure that, and I put my finger there, so that's about the second, and I measure that down, that's about the third section, and I keep my finger there, it's about the fourth section, fifth, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then a half. A half is about right there. Oh, I might just have enough on this piece of paper. If you get to the end and you run out of room, it's all good. No stress. Just on the next one, maybe make the head smaller, and then you can practice with that one. So I have my head and about where those 7 sections are. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and a half. Notice that I'm writing down the numbers just so that I know that they're all in order. You don't have to do that, but you totally can. Remember, this is kind of a sketch to just get started. So the next section, the second section here, the second section is from the chin to the top of the ribs. So whenever you are making the neck, you want to draw straight down from the edge. Now remember, we're not doing the details of the face right now. If you want to get into the details of the face, you totally can. And if you want to do that together, we can do that during live class. But right now I'm going to focus on just the proportions of the body, but I will draw a quick one just to help visualize this. Let me draw this here. Okay, we'll name him Chaim. Okay, so this is the start of the second section. I want to drop the shoulders, just do one line at a time, okay? Remember, this can be a girl too, whatever works for you. Outline of the neck, drop the shoulders out. They don't have to be perfect. Then what you want to do is roll the shoulders down a little bit. The second section marks where the bottom of the breastbone, the top of the ribs should be, about there, okay? So this is where the torso starts. So the second section, oh, I'm sorry. The first section is the head, okay? The first section is the head. The second section is the neck, shoulders, and chest. All right? The third section is the torso. So since mine's turning out to be a man, I'm going to bring this down here. So remember, everybody has a different torso. Some people have longer torsos. This is just the base, all right? So you would shift how you are drawing a person based off of their unique features, just like if we were drawing the face. Not everybody's face looks like this. It's just the base of it, okay? So you have the torso. The end of the third section, let me make sure I have 1. This happens to me every time. 2 and 3. Okay. Okay. You want to make sure that the belly button is just at the bottom here. That's what I'm doing since I'm going based off of this reference. Okay, he's got that's a hairy six-pack. Okay. All right. Now, you want to bring his armpits in and bring the biceps down. The elbows go to about the mid of the torso. The mid torso is about where the elbows are, okay? The elbows are about the mid section of the torso. And you'll notice that the hands, or the arms, I'm sorry, go all the way down. The wrists touch about to the end of the fourth section. So maybe make the wrists go to the end of the fourth section so you can start to picture what is coming next. Then the fourth section is you could call it the glutes or upper thighs, okay? Now, girls would of course have wider hips. So you can do that if you are working on a female body. But the men's tend to narrow out, and we have wider hips. So you see how I'm adding to it as I'm going. Now this is very loose. It's supposed to be fun. I just finished his shorts. Okay, you can, add texture if you're doing clothes. It's up to you, whatever you want to do. Okay. Now, we're into the fifth section right here, where I bring down the thighs. The thighs come down to about the 5.5 mark. So this is the fifth section, is the thighs. Start with the outer thighs and move into the inner thighs. And the knees touch about. So you want to go up and check. Okay, so we got the head, right? Then we got the second section here, which is the neck, the shoulders, and the chest. Add details as you go, that is totally fine. Got the second section here. Then we have the third section, which is most of the torso. Then the fourth section is the glutes, the forearms, and the upper thighs here. More so the glutes and lower torso. Then the fifth section here is the thighs, most of the thighs. And the sixth section here is the lower thighs, the knees, and the upper calf. I'm going to write that over here. The sixth section is the lower thighs, the knees, and the upper calf. So I hope you are drawing this along with me.